Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a doozy. In fact, I don't think I've ever really covered a story quite like this before. So picture this. It is early June 2024, and you are a NASA engineer putting the finishing touches on a technological marvel years in the making. A golf cart-sized rover designed to drive into the freezing darkness near the moon's south pole on the hunt for water ice. If successful, the $450 million rover called Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover, or VIPER, would at last provide confirmation after decades of speculation about where water is on the moon. An event that would supercharge both lunar science and a new international space race to harvest the ice for air, water, and fuel. So like the work you're doing, tinkering on this rover as a NASA engineer would feel very important, potentially game-changing in the world of space travel. But then, a month later, on July 17th, 2024, you open up your laptop or turn on your phone and you see that NASA has released this statement. Following a comprehensive internal review, NASA announced Wednesday its intent to discontinue development of its VIPER project. A project they have already dumped $450 million, I shouldn't say dumped, I should say invested, a project that they have already invested $450 million into. Like, what? I cannot even imagine. So let's get into it. The what, the why, and the what happens next. So to say that this news was a bit of a shock to the space community would be an understatement. NASA's statement went on to say, cost increases, delays to the launch date, and the risks of future cost growth as the reasons to stand down on the mission. So basically NASA's saying, price tag sticker shock, delays of the launch date, and the risk that it could cost even more money. And what's even crazier is how quickly they went from, no, it's over, to let's start planning the disassembling and reuse of VIPER's instruments and components. Like literally in the same NASA statement, it says, prior to disassembly, NASA will consider expressions of interest from US industry and international partners by Thursday, August 1st for use of the existing VIPER rover system at no cost to the government. Interested parties should contact HQ-CLPS-payload at mail.nasa.gov after 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday, July 18th. The project will conduct an orderly closeout through spring 2025. Like, wow, everything must go. It feels like, you know, those people who take over storage units when you stop paying and then your stuff inside the unit goes on sale immediately. So under NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services partnership, VIPER was headed for an Earth departure via an Astrobotic Griffin moon lander. But the Astrobotic firm has had issues with the lander, and Griffin's departure had been pushed back to September 2025. But as of now, they are still planning to launch Griffin on that date, just without VIPER aboard. NASA's now saying that the landing without VIPER will be a flight demonstration of the Griffin lander and its engines. Now, obviously, they planned this mission assuming VIPER would be on Griffin. So in lieu of its absence, they are planning to use a mass simulator to mimic the weight of the missing rover. But the whole point of Griffin going, well, okay, not the whole point, but a big part of Griffin going was to deliver VIPER. So now Griffin's still gonna go, but they're just gonna have a mass simulator mimicking VIPER's weight? What? And look, it's not like Astrobotic hasn't had other issues. Remember that whole Peregrine non-landing thing? If you guys remember, in January 2024, Astrobotic's Peregrine Mission 1 failed to land on the moon due to an in-space propulsion glitch. I did a whole video about that, which I will link below in case you missed it. And so because it couldn't land, it ended up being redirected back towards Earth and burned up in the Earth's atmosphere, which is Obviously not the dream, and a very expensive mishap. And according to Astrobotic, the investigation as to why the private company's first moonlander failed is still forthcoming. And this seemed to be a factor, as NASA also said in its statement, continuation of Viper would result in an increased cost that threatens cancellation or disruption to other CLPS missions. NASA has notified Congress of the agency's intent. But many scientists seem to be quite baffled by this decision. Clive Neal, a leading moon scientist at the University of Notre Dame, said, "Viper is 100% built and has completed part of its testing. It is ready to go, and NASA is junking a very capable rover and ceding leadership in resource exploration. It is a dark day for lunar science and exploration and maybe the Artemis program. I am still in shock at the reasoning used to justify the cancellation of Viper." And planetary scientist Phil Metzger of the University of Central Florida said, "I was shocked and dismayed. This may be the most important mission for developing cislunar space that NASA has ever designed." Norbert Schogefer, a senior scientist at the Planetary Science Institute, said, "The cancellation of Viper is a major loss for science. No other robotic U.S. mission to the moon in the next 3 years has the needed capabilities. Required are mobility and a way to explore the subsurface, not just the surface." Schogefer added that the hunt for lunar water ice will now most likely be made by Japan's Lunar Polar Exploration Project, which is due to be launched in 2025. He also said that the detective work for lunar water ice could be carried out by China's robotic lander, which is due to launch in 2026. But NASA seems to think that they have alternatives. Nicola Fox, the Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, said, "The agency has an array of missions planned to look for ice and other resources on the moon over the next 5 years. NASA will pursue alternative methods to accomplish many of Viper's goals and verify the presence of ice at the lunar South Pole. A future CLPS delivery, the Polar Resources Ice Mining Experiment 1, or Prime 1, scheduled to land at the South Pole during the fourth quarter of 2024, will search for water ice and carry out a resource utilization demonstration using a drill and a mass spectrometer to measure the volatile content of subsurface materials." But Schogefer points out, if one is serious about finding ice on the moon, we need a mission that can explore large, permanently cold and dark craters, which even Viper and Artemis 3 will not be able to reach. And that seems even further off in the future. The intended termination of Viper was also devastating news, according to Benjamin Greenhagen, chair of the Lunar Exploration Analysis Group. Beyond the hardware, Greenhagen said that Viper is people, and there should be significant concern for the engineers and scientists working to test and fly the completed rover given the uncertain situation. Greenhagen posted that League will be working to bring that message to NASA in the coming weeks, and I expect that there will be other individual and community-organized efforts as well. And that has already begun. A support letter put together by space scientists is being sent to members of Congress, urging them to reconsider the decision. In this open letter to Congress, the communique asks lawmakers to refuse NASA's decision to cancel the Viper moon mission. That open letter already has over 140 signatures from 24 states in the U.S. Plans are already underway to reach out directly to the House and Senate committees addressed to in the letter. The letter states, "We are deeply concerned by NASA's shocking announcement on July 17th that it intends to discontinue the Viper lunar rover mission. Viper was to be a groundbreaking American project and the first NASA mission to characterize the origin and distribution of water ice on and below the surface of the moon, a key step in enabling human exploration." The open letter points out that the decision to cancel the mission was taken by NASA without giving the wider Viper team or lunar exploration community an opportunity to propose cost-saving solutions or alternatives to the dismemberment or scrapping of the rover. The Viper rover was already fully built, the letter notes, and was scheduled to undergo final testing prior to the 2024-2025 launch. The letter argues that the decision to cancel the project at this stage, after spending $450 million, is both unprecedented and indefensible. So, yeah. that's where it stands now. I mean, barring a Hail Mary pass of Viper to another country's space agency or a private US company, the rover will be disassembled for parts. And reading more about it, by my estimation, it seems like the increase of cost was potentially $80 million because of the delays of Griffin. But this is for a rover that you've already put in $450 million. You have a rover that has the ability to do first in space kind of business. And as NASA, you're looking for private space companies to do business with in the future. So I don't know. I don't get it. And it's weird because it seems like they already put so much into this mission already beyond just the money. They were live streaming Viper's construction. They let Viper be fully assembled. It had already passed its vibration testing. Like, I know there was other testing still to go, but it just kind of feels like all you had to do was launch it. Like I said, I don't get it. What you guys tell me, what am I missing here? I know NASA needs Congress's approval for missions that go more than 30% over its initial baseline costs, and it does seem like Viper was getting close to that. But like the open letter said, it just seems like the people at Viper had no time to make any kind of adjustment of any kind. It was just over. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I hate ending my videos on any kind of downer. I don't particularly care what country discovers the water ice first. It's just more like we invested all this time in building this one-of-a-kind rover to potentially discover something really groundbreaking. And then when we were so close to the end, we just kind of dumped it. Like, I would get it if the rover didn't work, right? If the design was fundamentally flawed and they just, it's back to the drawing board. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It was built. It worked. It seemed pretty ready to go. So I guess the positive that I will try and end on is that maybe somehow, fingers crossed, Viper can be salvaged. I'm recording this before the August 1st deadline, so we will see. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Sometimes you guys can put a good spin on these things for me, or just kind of add some extra context that will maybe make it not seem so bad, or at the very least so confusing. I'm still confused. I'm confused. But keep those fingers crossed for Viper. I know I will. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.